Hi, I'm Kenneth WAJDA, and I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado, and welcome to another one of my photography talks. Today I want to talk about, on a recent road trip, I stopped by some antique malls. And if you never stopped by them, maybe you might want to take a look, because sometimes you can find fun finds, not just in cameras, not just in lenses, but also in old periodicals. I found this September 1950 edition of Modern Photography. And there's actually there's 3 issues in here. Here's an issue of July 1950 US camera, and there's another one inside, and boy, this is making a lot of noise, isn't it? And this special portrait issue. These weren't cheap. The 3 of them were $24. I find that to be a little bit expensive, but at another antique store, I found some old issues of 1970s modern photography and popular photography, and they were $1 each. So I kind of thought, well, I'll average it all together and those won't be so expensive. But $8 each is a little bit on the pricey side. But the idea of finding old photo magazines for me is a treat, because some of the ads are what are more important to me than articles. Even though there was one article, there was somebody talking about, making photographs and going out, and the first thing that they said was the #1 question that they get asked is, how do you approach people? Because they're scared to approach strangers when they're shooting street. And I'm thinking, God, that was in 1972. They were talking about that, and they're still talking about that. Everybody, just be polite and go up and either say hello or just go about your business and act like you belong there. Either one of those works, but you can certainly be approaching, or you can be very much just in your own world, just working, and people will kind of let you alone. But it's funny that the same issues were right back then. Some of the articles that I'm looking at, some of the letters, they're like right out of what I might be reading today on the web. And then the photo stories, the photo features that they have in some of those, and like I said, certainly the advertisements, because I was a kid growing up in the 70s, and I'm looking at advertisements and prices on things, from when I was looking at those back then, and I can go back in those eyes and sort of think about, remember when I was looking at those prices of Bronicas or Hasselblads and thinking, boy, that's astronomical, I could never afford it. And now those prices seem low as new prices. There are Leicas that I think are like $300 or $400, and it's like, God, those Leicas are so expensive now. Those Leicas are more expensive now than they were then. And that's without the factor of inflation. So photography magazines, I don't know if you've ever searched for those, if you ever take a look at those, but for me, they're a little treat. They're not terribly expensive unless you pay $8 each. But most of the other ones I picked up are $1 each, and they're not terribly super special in their, the way they're cared for. Or they're not necessarily perfect. They're magazines that somebody saved and they threw inside their antique shop, and it's a treat for me to just sort of rummage through, and I guess it's time travel. It's me stepping back in time, and there's some element of, like I said, wonder of what we used to talk about, and we're still talking about it. It all comes down to go out and make photographs, be yourself. If you enjoy meeting people, talk to people and approach them. If you enjoy landscapes and not people, then shoot landscapes. Those same stories were being told all the way back then. All right, that's today's photography talk. I'm going to go read a magazine. If you have any comments, please put them in the area below, and if you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button and I'll bring in more. Thanks so much for watching.